In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build a searchable document library and get it live on your website. Starting from a completely blank account right through to a finished library that visitors can search, filter, and download from. And the best part is you can add this to pretty much any website. It doesn't matter if you're using WordPress, Shopify, Wix, Squarespace, Webflow, or pretty much anything else. You can even run it as its own standalone site if you don't have your own website yet, or use it as a private library for your team. To do this, I'll be using Document Library Pro, which hosts the documents online for you, so there's nothing to install and no software to maintain. We'll go through all the steps today, from signing up to adding your documents and finally publishing them on your website. And even though I'll be stopping to explain a few things along the way, we can easily get your library published in under 20 minutes. Sounds good? Let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is head over to documentlibrary.pro and start your free trial. You can choose whatever plan you like, and in either case, there'll be a 14-day free trial that we can use to set up our library without paying a dime. Essentials is great for a simple public library, while Advanced has things like password protection and version control, and we'll touch on those a little later on. So I'm going to start my free trial now. Now, once you've added your email and card details, you can click on Start Trial. And remember, you won't be charged for the first 2 weeks while you're giving it a try. I just had to approve the payment, which came through at $0, of course. It looks like it was a success. Awesome. All right, let's give our library a name. We'll call it Sam's Trial, and then click on Create My Library. All right, sweet. We're in and we have the welcome screen. So we can skip this, but actually I think I'm going to take you through it so you can get an idea of what's involved. First up, we have the layout for the table. And in this case, you can choose between a table layout or a grid layout. If you're not sure what the difference is between those two, that's all right. Here's an example of a table layout, which I've put on a website already. Whereas here is an example of the grid layout. So they are quite different visually, and there are some advantages to each one depending on what you're looking for. I'm going to start off with a grid layout because I think it's more visually interesting. Now you can also enable folders, and folders look a little something like this. Folders act like a file manager on your computer. You can open each one and then you can see the files contained within. It's good in specific cases, but I think it's best to leave that one disabled for now, at least until we have our categories set up. We can also enable document preview and click on next. Now it's going to show us options for the grid layout, and we can choose whether we want to show an image, title, file name, file type, for example, and anything else in this list. And then we'll click on next. Filters are a great way for your website visitors to find what they're looking for. And I do recommend adding a category and tag filter at least. And sometimes the file type and author filters are also applicable. I'll just give you a preview of what these filters look like. So these are wonderful drop-down filters. You can click on any of these categories. You can also click on things like the file type and narrow it down even further by topic. And then users can preview or download whatever kind of file they've been looking for. Then you can click on reset and all of those filters go away and you can see the entire library again. Now there are some extra settings here like multi-select filters, showing which filters are active, and showing the count of documents within those filters. And those are all quite useful, so I'd recommend turning them on. All right, so we've just done the basic setup for our library, but now we're going to add our documents and talk about some more of the settings like categories and tags. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to create a document. Okay, on this screen is where we can add new documents. Now you can either drag and drop to upload a file here, or you can actually use the link to a URL option. You can link to any existing file on the web, and you can add other details like the file size, title, and description here. So we're going to upload a file, and we can see that this title has auto-completed from our file name, but we can edit that if we need to. And then we can add a description as well. Another thing we can do is add things like categories and tags for this document, as well as a featured image. And while we're at it, let's add it to a category. We'll create a new one called News, and then we'll add it to tags. We'll say newsletter, and the author can be me. Now with all of that done, we can click on Add Document. All right, let's check out our list and we can see our one document here. Now, this is a lot of fun, but it'll be a lot faster if we upload in bulk. So let's click on Bulk Upload, and we can either drag and drop all of our files from our folders on our computer, or you can use this CSV upload option. And if you want to learn more about that, you can click on this Read More button, and then you can go through the steps to import the CSV. But with all of our files added here now, we can click on Edit for each one of them. I'm quickly going to go through each of these items and update the cover images. If you're using a bulk import via CSV, then you can actually add the image links in that CSV file, which will save you the time of doing this one by one. Now, one thing to note is that if you're using PDFs or PowerPoints, for example, then the images from the first page of that file will be actually used as the cover image. So you may not actually have to worry about adding featured images. Now, one thing I want to show you is a neat little trick where you can actually share Google Drive folders or Dropbox folders with your document library. All you have to do is go to your Google Drive library, for example, or you can do the same thing in Dropbox. And then you need to change the sharing permissions so that anyone with the link is a viewer. Click on Copy Link, and then go back to your library and click on Categories. And then in the Add New Category, I'll just give it a name. I'll call it Google Drive. And then scroll down to the bottom here and sync with the cloud folder. And then you're going to paste the link to your shared folder. Click on Add New Category. And it's going to sync up and add all of these subfolders within as different categories. Then if you go back to your document screen, you can see all of these new documents have been added. Now, you're not able to edit them in the same way on your library page because they're actually synced with the cloud. So when you edit or update them within Google Drive or Dropbox, they'll be updated on your library and you don't have to edit them here. So it's actually a very efficient way to add files to your document library. All right, so now that we've added a bunch of documents to our library in different ways, let's go to our categories and I'll add a few more categories as well. I'm going to call this one Forms. And I'll add another one for Handbooks. Categories are really important to create and maintain on your library so that users can filter through your library and find what they're looking for really quickly. I've added a couple more categories that I need, and now I'm going to go back to my list of documents and I'm going to bulk edit and add my documents to those categories. Now I can click on the bulk action to edit, click on apply. I'm going to add these ones to the Forms category, update. We can do a similar thing with tags, but tags are a little bit different. They're not like folders on your computer. They're things that apply to documents from all kinds of different categories, but they are another way to help people find what they're looking for. For example, the year 2025, 2026, 2027 could be a tag which could apply to a bunch of different files. All right, enough sorting out documents. Let's get them published on your website. And to do that, we're going to click on Libraries here, and we're going to create a new library. This is going to be a unique library that doesn't include every document we've added to this app. All right, let's give this library a name. We'll call it Camp and click on Next. It's just an internal name. Now I'm going to choose from my categories. I'm going to choose the News, Handbook, and Forms, as well as the tags 2026 and Newsletter. This basically just tells the app which documents to include based on their category. Then we'll click on Next, and we'll choose our layout. Again, I do love this table layout, but for this particular library, I'm going to actually put it in a grid layout so that it's a more visual picture for people to see what's there. And then we'll click on next. I'm also going to include a few more things like the file type and the date, and we'll leave the number of columns as automatic so it can be responsive. We're going to enable filters and add filter dropdowns above the library for categories and tags, just like before. And we'll leave a download button with the text download, and then click on next. All right, so we've just created our library, and this is the code we need in order to embed it on a website. So I've got a Squarespace website here that I'm testing out, and I want to see how it looks when I embed it. So I'm going to copy all of this, and then I'll open up my Squarespace website here, and I'll click on Edit Site. Now I can go to Pages, and I can click on the page that I'm going to edit, which is this Resources page here, and I'll scroll down, and I want to put the library in this section right here. So I'll click on Edit, and once that loads in, click on Add Block, and search for Embed. Once I've added that block, I just need to edit it with this pencil here, and then click on Code Snippet, Embed Data, and I'll add the embed code here. Now I'm just going to expand the width of the library to full width there. And now you can see my library with all of the different documents in it has loaded in. And I can click on Save Changes up the top here. And then let's preview that on my page. So this is how it looks on the front end. And perfect. So we've got all of our library there. And if we switch to mobile, we can see it's still working, although there is one little element I would need to fix up here so it doesn't overlap. But that's on the Squarespace side. The library itself is working just fine. Now, if I don't actually like this tile layout, I can actually go back to my library and switch it to a table. To do that, I just go back to my libraries here and I click on Edit. And then instead of choosing the grid layout, I choose table layout here. And I can update anything I want from this list. For example, I could add an image to the table right here. And I'll get rid of the categories just so it's a little bit cleaner. Now that I've edited and saved that library, I can actually refresh this page right now. And with any luck, it's already updated. Perfect. So now instead of the tiles, we've got a nice table layout, still with a download button, an image, and a bunch of other information. Another thing you should know is that from your dashboard, you can actually view your library, which has its own dedicated web page with the URL based on your username. This is not the same thing as the library we set up specifically for my other website. This is actually a library with all of our documents, and you can click on it by going to this document library page here. This page is set up using the general settings page, so all of the parameters and what's in this page can be edited if we go back to this tab and click on settings and then click on display. From here, you can actually edit and change whatever you want to appear in that library. At the moment, this library is only visible to me and whoever has access to my account, but I can also click on this Publish Library button, and I can create a new website or add it to an existing site and follow these steps. So for example, adding to an existing site is exactly what we just did before, and you can copy any code like your main library or your special one that you created. And then you can choose where you want to add it, whether it's WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, Shopify, or really anything else. Once you go through those steps and complete the setup, then you've published your library on your own website. Congratulations. Back in our app, we can click on Settings. And then from here, we can go to the Branding tab. Now, you can upload things like a logo or a site icon if you want, but you can also change your brand color. I'm just going to change it to this orange color, for example, and then click on Save. And then you also have the library design, and it'll be set to default just to match your website's branding. So this is what the table would look like with the default design, or we can actually update this design with a custom layout. So this is what it looks like by default, but we can actually update it with some different custom colors. And even more, we can actually go down and update any of the borders or background colors from this page here. Let me just give you an example by changing this background color to the orange. Click on Save. And when I refresh this page, I can see it's been updated with this orange background, which is perfect. And then I can go through and update the rest of the colors in my own time. All right, congratulations. You just got your document library up and running in about 20 minutes. Well, actually, I don't know how long the edit of this video will be, but I'm hoping it's around that time. By the way, I don't know if it was clear or not, but by going to this libraries page, you can add as many new libraries as you want and publish them on as many different websites as you want, all from the same account. You can also use access control features if you're on the advanced plan. I'm not going to go through them in detail in this video, but you can basically set up a password for any of your libraries, and you can also edit how that password and form will look. If you get stuck at any point, you can check out the documentation on the website, or you can reach out to our amazing support team who are ready to help you 24/7. You can go ahead and click on this link to start your free trial if you haven't already, or you can check out the WordPress plugin version of this app in this video here. And of course, thanks for watching.